In this video, I'm going to go through on Catholic High School End of Year Examination 2024 Primary 5 Mathematics Paper 1 Booklet B. So let's get started on question 16. So it says here, write 13,011 in numerals. Okay, so first, what is 13,000? So it's 13, and then you have 1, 2, 3 zeros. So this is 13,000, and then 11 is what you see over here. So I'm going to do some workings to make it a little bit easier to see. Okay, so the workings will look something like this, so 13,000 plus 11. So if I were to just draw a simple rectangle as what you see over here, then it will be easier for you to put in the different numbers. Okay, so in this case over here, that will be 11. And then you have, I'm just going to put a space here, 11. And then you put the 0, 3, and 1. So the answer will be, look like this. So it will be 13, 1, 3, 0, 11. So 13,011 in this case over here. All right, let's move on to question 17. Find the value of 7.5 times 500. Okay, so in this case, what we can do is we can actually, I would say, make it a little bit simpler, which is you can write this down, which is in this case 7.5 times 5 times 100. Okay, so in this case, we can technically do this, which is the same as what we see over here, right? Then, or I'll say something a little bit simpler will be times 5 times 10 or 50 times 10. Okay, something like this, right? So this is just one way. You can do multiple ways. So you can also do 7.5, what I call this, right? Some, or actually, never mind, just stick to the 5 times 100 lah. Okay, so we have this 100. Okay, so we're going to do the workings for 7.5 times 5. Right, so we have 5, right? 5 times 5, this will give us 25 or 2.5. So zero point 0.5, you put a dot here, okay? And then you put a 2 over here, right? And then after that, 7 times 5 will be 35 plus 2, this will be 37. Okay, so 7.5 times 5 is 37.5, and 8 times 100. So since there are two zeros over here, your decimal point, right, will then move two decimal points, 1 and 2. So you put a 0 after the 5. So in this case, this will become 3750 or 3750. So that's the answer to this question. So it's 3750. All right, let's move on to question 18. So over here it says find the value of 1 minus 2 out of 5 minus half. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to first, I'm going to write here, find common, right, or lowest common multiple. Lowest common multiple for 5 and 2, which is in this case 10, right? Pretty straightforward. So in this case, this will then be, we'll simplify everything to 10 or denominator to 10. Okay, so in this case 1 will be the same as, in this case, 10 out of 10, right? And then after that we have the rest over here. So 10 out of 10 is equal to 1. And then we also have 2 out of 5. Okay, so in this case over here, what we want to do is, okay, I'm gonna make everything into denominator of 10. So you have 1 as 10 out of 10, and then 2 out of 5, 2 out of 5, okay, will then become how 1 out of 10, right? So you multiply by 2 for both the numerator and the denominator. So denominator will be 10 in this case over here, right? So then this will then become 4 out of 10. Okay, so this is 5 out of 10. Okay, and then after that you have 1 out of 2. Okay, so similar to this. Okay, so 1 out of 2 or half. So for the denominator, what do we multiply to get 10? It is 5. So same goes to the numerator. So in this case will be 5 out of 10. Okay, so this is like another workings over here, right? In this case. Okay, so with this, right, this will then become minus, right? So then we have 4 out of 10 in this case over here, right? 4 out of 10, and then minus, right? In this case also, right? So this and this, okay, 5 out of 10. Okay, so we minus 5 out of 10 as well. Okay, so now we can actually combine all of these numbers. So we have a denominator as 10, okay, but we're going to minus since everything is out of 10. So in this case, all right, so we have 10 minus 4 minus 5 in this case over here. Oops, right? So 10 minus 4 minus 5. So this will then become equal to, what's 10 minus 4 minus 5? It's 1. And that's it. So the answer to this is 1 out of 10. Okay, so this is the answer. All right, let's move on to question 19. So question 19 says, Kelvin has a book with 205 pages. He reads an average of 5 pages every day. How many days will he take to finish reading the book? Okay, so this is rate. Okay, rate. Right, rate question. Right, so in this case, what can we do is we can just say 5 pages, all right, is equal to 200 and no, 5 pages is 1 day, right? 1 day. Okay, so then 1 page, right, is equal to, yeah. So usually I don't divide it. I'll just put a bracket. You have 1, and then we divide it by 5, and then put day here, days. Okay, so then you put 205 pages, and this will then become 205 divided by 5. Okay, so what will this be equal to? So I'm going to show you the workings. All right, so you see 205 divided by 5. So first we cannot have 2 minus 5. So what we can do is we can put 20. So 20 itself, this will then become 20, right? So we minus 20 in this case. So it's 20. It is number 4, not 3, 4. And then this will then give us number 5. So we can minus 5 as well. And what is 5? It's just 1. So the answer is 41. So in this case over here, the answer is 41 days, right? Okay, so I'm just going to write here 41. Let's move on to the next question. Question number 20. Find the value of 26 divided by 4. Give your answer as a mixed number in the simplest form. Okay, so let's do a division working as well. All right, so it looks something like this. So let's focus on 26. So basically, you want to get the numerator and also the whole number itself, right? So, okay, I'll just put the whole number here as well. Okay, all right, so for 4 to 26, what is the closest to 26? It's actually minus 24. And this will then become 6, right? So 6 times 4 is equal to 24. And then this will give us 2, right? So now we have 2 we can't minus 2 with 4, so we have to put a 0, right? 26.0, right? So bring down the 0. So we're going to minus 20 also, or 2.0 in this case, lah. 0.0, and this will give zero point 0.5. Okay, and in this case over here, we will then have 0 in this case. Okay, I say in this case too many times. All right, so 6.5 or 0, right? So that means this is no, the whole number is in essence 6.5. So there's no, there is actually, there is. Okay. So what is 6.5? Right. In as a decimal form, right? So in this case, sorry, in a decimal form is 6.5, but what about fraction? Okay. So the 6 over here is the whole number, but what gives 0.5? So, right, basically half is equal to 0.5. Okay, so this is a big clue. So half of this is what? 4, right? I mean out of 4. So for half, this should be 2 out of 4, right? Or actually, we don't even to put 2 out of 4 is just half, like this. Okay, and that's the answer, 6.5. Okay, when you see 6.5, it should be 6.5, right? So that's the answer to this question. All right, let's move on to question 21. Okay, so express 48 out of 7 as a decimal. Correct your answer to 2 decimal places. So in essence, 48 out of 7 is 48. Then we divide by 7. Okay, so we just want to do the calculation itself. In this case over here. All right, so I'm going to show you the workings for this. Okay, so we have 48 divided by 7. So what is the closest to 7 for the number 48? Sadly, it's not 49. It's actually, right, 42. Okay, so in this case, this will be what gives 42? 6, right? And 48 minus 42, this will give us 6, right? 6 as well. All right, so in this case we have 6, but sadly we cannot have 6 minus 7, so we point 0, so 60. All right, so what is the closest to 60 that is a multiple 7? So it should be, in this case, minus 5.6 or 56 now, right? So this will then become 8, 6.8, right? Okay, so 6.0 minus 5.6. Okay, and this will then give us 4. Okay, so 4, right? We already have a dot 4. Okay, then you put a 0 again because we cannot minus, we have 4 as well. So dot 40. So we can minus what's closest to 40. That is a multiple 7. Right, so it is 35. Okay, and this will give us 6.85. Okay, so the thing is, correct your answers to 2 decimal place. So we need to have a third number at the end. Okay, so the 5 and then 0.35. Okay, so and then what will this give us? This will give us 5, right? 5. Okay, and then we cannot get 5 again. We will get 50, so it's 50. Okay, and for this we can minus 49 in this case over here. Okay, minus 49, and 49 is 7. Right. Okay, so this is the whole workings over here, and then for this will become 6.857. So now we want to see whether this 7 over here is more than 5, right? So this 7 is more than 5. That means, okay, so I'm gonna write this out. 7 is 5 or more, so we round up. Okay, so I'm just gonna put this really small, like this. 7 is 5, and have a small one. Okay, so that means we will have plus 1 in this case of on top of 5, and now this will then become 6.86. There you go. All right, so the answer to this, let me put the workings at the side over here. All right, 7 is more than 5, we round up. Okay, so the answer to this is 6.886. All right, there we go. Let's move on to question 22. So a machine takes 2 minutes to print 10 posters. At the same rate, how long will it take to print 145 posters? Okay, so for this, right, so we can type down 10 posters is equal to 2 minutes. Okay, one poster is equal to, right, so put a bracket and put minutes over here. You have 2, and then we divide it by 10. All right, so you just leave it at that, because once you put 1 for 5 posters, okay, then what we can do is we have 145 times 2, and then divided by 10 in this case over here, right? So like this. So what we can do is right, we can just put equal as well. So 145 times 2 divided by 10. In this case, we can have 145 times 2. This should be 290. And then we have the divide by 10, and this will give us 29 minutes. So I see over here. So the answer is 29. So you can double confirm 145 times 2 as a working. All right, you see over here. All right, so 145 times 2, double confirm. So 5 times 2, this will give us 10, not 90. Yeah. Then this will give us 1 at the top over here. Okay, and then 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9, and then last with 290. That's what I see over here. Right, that's, yep, there you go. So 290. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question number 23. So in this case, a string of length 8.1 meter was cut into 3 pieces. The first piece was 3 times as long as the second piece, and the second piece was twice as long as the third piece. Okay, so what we can do is we can draw out the different pieces. Okay, so I would say I'll just put first lah, cause easier, right? Okay, so first, right, we can draw a model. So we have 1, 2, 3. So first is 3 times as long as the second piece. So the second. So second is just 1 in this case over here, right? And then the second piece was twice as long as the third piece. Okay, third piece, so twice as long as the third piece. So this is roughly around half. That's what I see over here. Okay, so this is roughly half, like this. Okay, so how long was the first piece? So in this case, what we can do is we can split it up. So we have this two, then copy, and then I'm gonna paste it over here, right? And then I'm gonna paste it over here as well. Okay, something like this. All right. So and then we know the total for this is 8.1 meters. Okay, 8.1 meters. Okay, we are in meters, right? So in total, the number of units is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, we have 9 units, and this is equal to 8.1 meters. Okay, so 1 unit is equal to 8.1, right? And then we divide it by 9 in this case. So the answer is not 9, the answer is 0.9. Okay, all right, so now we know 1 unit is 0.9. How long was the first piece, right? So first piece, how many units? First piece is equal to 6 units, right? So that means 6 units is equal to 6 times 0.9. Same thing as 6 times 9 divided by 6 times 9 divided by 10. So in this case, we will then just put 5.4. Yep, so the answer is 5.4. Okay, so yeah, there we go. Right, 5.4. Okay, let's move on to question 24. All right, question 24 says Rama had some erasers in box A and B at first. After he transferred 1/7 of the eraser in box B in box A to box B, the ratio number of erasers in box A to number of erasers in box B became 2:1. What's the ratio of numbers of erasers in box A to the number of erasers in box A and box B? Wow, quite a lot. Okay, so now what we know is that 1/7, right over here, 1/7 of erasers in box A transfer to box B. That means box A has 2:1. Okay, so in this case, what we're gonna do is we're gonna put in box A. I'm gonna put A lah, right, and then B as well. So 1/7. That means we will draw 7, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have 3, 4. Okay, so we have 7 over here. And then once he gave 1 out of 7, which is, I would say this, to box B, then the ratio from box A to box B is 2:1, which is basically A means it's twice. So if given to box B, that means 2:1, which is 2 units over here, like this. Okay, so if I were to put a simple rectangle, something like this, make it a little bit smaller, like this. Okay, so in essence, this is the ratio lah, right? 2 is to 1. Okay, whoops, that's why I see over here. And then this is another one. Oops. Okay, and then oops, it's so hard to control. Okay, so this, paste this over here. Okay, so 2 is to 1 is this over here, right? So I'm gonna put here 2, and then I'm gonna put here 1, right? 2 is to 1. But the thing is that okay, right, it will look something like this. Okay, so the thing is that now we know that this is the units, right? So what is the ratio of number at first? Okay, so at first we have this, okay, but instead, sadly, um, this was given away, right, to this. Okay, so I'm gonna put like this over here, like that. Okay, okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna connect this to this over here, and then move it down to this place. Okay, so it should be the reverse. Huh, huh, not red, black, medium, this. Okay, given, right, to B over here. So now what's the ratio between the number of erasers of A? So box A to total. That's it. I'm not gonna put okay, but total is basically A plus B, right? This is at first. Okay, so at first, right, A at first is equal to how many units? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, you know, 7. Pretty straightforward. And then B at first is how many units? 2. 2 units. So 7 units, and then 2 units, and then total at first is equal to 7 plus 2 equal to 9. So in this case, the answer to this is box A at first. The ratio of the numbers of various box A is 7, right? Is to 9. That's it. That's the answer. Okay, so hopefully this make a sense. So the answer to this is 7 is to 9 in this case over here. All right. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Okay, question number 25. Okay, the base of the cuboid is a square of side at 2 centimeters. The base of a cuboid is a square of 2 centimeters. The height of the cuboid is 8 centimeter. Find its volume. Okay, so I'm going to quickly draw this. So it's simple like this. So the base of the cuboid at the bottom over here. Okay, if I were to draw it, basically what it means is that this is 2 centimeters, 2 centimeters, and then this is also 2 centimeters. Okay, so I think I can write it as 2 centimeters. Okay, so in this case, or let me not write it, but beside it, 2 centimeters, and then the height as well. Okay, in this case, it's 8 centimeters. So what's the volume? Okay, I think it's pretty straightforward. Volume is equal to, always for me, I always like to write down just to refresh, length times breadth times height, and this will become 2 times 2 times 8, which is 4 times 8, and this will give you 32 centimeter cube, right? So the answer to this is 32 centimeter cube. That's it. All right, let's move on to question number 26. So it says here ADE and BCD are equilateral triangles. So ADE, so I'm gonna, draw this. Okay, so ADE is equilateral triangle. ADE and BCD is as well. Oops. BCD is equilateral triangle. All right. So, oops. Okay, then now EDC is a straight line. So let me also add in the straight line here. Okay, in this case, all right. So this ADC is a straight line. So angle DAB is 32 degrees. Find ADB in this case over here. Okay, so what we know is that in this, since both are these triangles, they are the same. So that means this is 60 degrees, right? All right, 60 degrees. Let me make it a bit black over here. Right, this is 60 degrees. Right, equilateral, all their angles is 60. And then this one also, let me make it small. This is also 60 degrees. Right, so this is also 60 degrees. So in this case, can we get this over here? So I'm gonna draw this, but in a different color. So in this, whoops, maybe green. So we have green. Oops. All right, so I'm gonna put like this. So what is this, right? So in essence, ADB. Let's find ADB. Okay, so angle, right? Angle ADB is equal to 180 minus 60 minus 60 equal to 60, right? So, or ADB is, if I were to make it simpler, is 180 minus 60 is 120 minus 60, and then this will become 60. That's what I see over here. Right, so now we know that this is 60 as well. So I'm gonna have this 60 as well. So the next thing is we can finally get this angle. So angle ABD, right? So ABD in this case, right, is 108 ABD, right, is minus 60 minus 32, right? So in this case, I'm going to combine 60 and 32 together. So 180 minus 60 plus 32 is minus 92, right? So it's not 90, 90 is 88 in this case, all right, degrees. So the answer to this is 88. Lucky number 88. All right, question 27. So triangles KLM are drawn in a square grid. Arrange triangles KLM from the smallest area to the largest area. So what we're going to do is we're going to calculate the base and height. So the base over here is 3. Oops, 3. Okay. So I'm going to put a K at the top as well. So at least you know which one is which. So this is 3. And the height over here is 4. In this case over here. Okay, 4. All right, so now we'll move to L. So L is 2 for the base. Okay, so this is 2. And I'm going to put L over here. L. And then the height is also 4 over here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, correct. Okay, for M, the base is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So M over here is 5. Right, and the height itself is 2. Very short but wide at the base. Okay, with that said, we can calculate the area of K. Right, in this case, it's half times base is 3 times height is 4. So half times 4, then this will be 6 lah. Right, 2 times 3. Okay, let's move on. Area of L. So half times base times height is 4. So this will become 4. And lastly, area of M. Okay, and then half times 5 times 2. Oops, not 24. Okay, times 2. And this will give us 5. So from here, we know which one is the smallest. Okay, and the smallest goes to area L. So, and the largest will become K in this case, largest. So that means largest. That means the largest is K, the smallest is L, and then the middle one is M. So LMK. Let me know. All right. Let's move on to the next question. Question number 28. Okay, the figure below shows a rectangle EFJHJ and a triangle EGJ. the area of the rectangle EFHJ is 215 centimeters square. Find the area of EGJ, which is, let me just put the thing here, right? Right. So something, oops, yeah, like this. Okay. So we only know the area of the rectangle. So let me just put some words, which is basically length, and then we have the breadth over here, right? So breadth, right? Length and breadth. So rectangle or area of rectangle, okay, is basically length times breadth. Okay. So what about the area of the triangle over here? So area of triangle is usually say half base times height, but in this case half times breadth, right? Times length. Okay. Because in this case, if I were to draw the line that shows the length, it will look something like this, right? Okay, it's a bit saying it, but in this case, this is what it looks like, right? And then let me put a simple rectangle as well to signify this over here, right? So we know that the area of triangle over here, or area of triangle EGJ, is basically half times breadth times length. Okay, so we know that length times breadth is equal to 215 centimeter, right? 215 centimeter and then square, right? So in this case, we can swap this to this, right? So this one, I'm going to highlight this, is the same as this one, right? So that means, right, we can just swap it out, which is equal to, oops, I don't want to have this, right? Let me unhighlight it, right? So that means half times 215. That's it. Okay, and then you can calculate half of 215 in this case. So let me do the workings. Okay, so basically half is basically 215 over here, right? All right, so first we can minus 2, right? So that means this is 1. Okay, so we minus 2 over here. All right, and then we will bring down the number 15 below. So 1 5 over here. All right, and then what we can do is we can minus what? Minus not 2, minus 12? No, 14. So 14, that means this is 7. Okay, so 107, right? Okay, so we put a 0 because we cannot minus 1, right? But then we put 5 over here. That's why it looks like this. And then this will give us 1. Okay, point 0. So that means we need to put decimal place. So 1. And then after that, we'll just put 10 in this case over here, or point 0 lah. So this will give us here 107.5. So 5 times 10 is equal to, yeah, 10. 2 times 5 equal to 10. Okay, my bad. But yeah, so in this case, the answer is this. So for this, half of 215 is 107.5. And that's the answer. So 105 centimeters square in this case over here. So I'm going to copy this and paste it over here. All right, let's move on to question. Okay, question 29. It says here the average mass of Ahmad, Ben, and Carl is 40 kg. So Ahmad and Ben are the same mass, and Carl is 60 kg heavier than Ben. Find Ahmad's mass. Okay, so in this case, what we want to do is we know the average is equal to 40, and total number of people is equal to 3. So total mass is equal to 40 times 3. Oops, and this gives you 120. So we know now the total mass is 120. So now we know that in this case, if I were to draw the model, Ahmad, okay, Ben, and then Carl in this case, right? So all of them, so Ahmad and Ben are the same mass. So what I'm gonna do is, so Ahmad, Ben is the same mass, and then Carl is 6 kg heavier. So that means we'll just add a little bit of this over here. Okay, and then we have 6 kg. right? Very small, 6 kg over here. And the total mass, that's what we see over here, is 120 kg. 120 kg. So I'm going to put kg. All right, so now can we solve this? Yes, we can. So now I'm just going to draw a line. That means over here, we will just put 3 units. What's units is equal to? All right, so I'm going to draw this. 120 minus 6, which is equal to 114. Right, let me just move all of this over here. Okay, so then 1 unit is equal to 114, and then we divide it by 3. And what would this become? 114. So let's do the workings. All right, so you see 114 divided by 3. So what is closest to 3? Minus 9 over here. So this will become 3. So 11 minus 9 is 2. Okay, and then we can bring the 4 as well. So 24, we can minus 24. Minus 24. So what gives us 24? 8. 8 times 3 will be 24. And that's the answer. So the answer to this is 38. Oops, I can't put 38. Never mind. Let me put it like this. All right, so since Ahmad is 1 unit, that means the answer to this is 38 kg. 38. That's what you see over here. All right, let's move on to the last question. Question 30. So figure 1 shows an equilateral triangle. So which has the perimeter of 33 centimeters. 3 such triangles are joined to form figure 2. What is the perimeter of figure 2 in this case over here? Okay, so we know that for equilateral triangle, we basically has all the same sides. Okay, and then so parameter meter of equilateral triangles, okay, is basically uh, 3 times the sides, right? 3 sides. Okay, so in this case over here, so I'm gonna make this a little bit smaller, right? That's why it's over here. Let me just make this. All right, okay, so now in this case, if we know that the parameter is 33 centimeters, so and 3 sides is 33 centimeter, one side is equal to 33, and then we divide it by 3, and this gives us 11. So in this case, for every side over here, 11 centimeters is 11 centimeters. So 11 centimeters for one side, okay? And since all the sides are the same, in this case over here, so I'm gonna draw 1, 2, 3. So oops, so we have 11, 11, and also 11 at the bottom. Okay, so now how to get figure 2? Okay, so in this case, right, you actually can move this figure 2 to become another figure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a triangle. So let me see if I can draw like this, right? So I have 2 triangles over here, and then I have one that looks in the at the bottom. That's what I see over here. Okay, so the thing is we are concerned about, because we already know we have this side. So we have one side. I'm gonna put 1. Okay, we're gonna put 2. Right, we have 2. Okay, so we have 2 sides over here, and then we have 3. So I'm gonna draw this a different color, blue. Right, we have 3. We have 4 sides. Okay, and then we have 5, and then we have 6. But what is this little thing over here? So I'm gonna draw an arrow. Let me put this. So this one black, and then this one as well. So what is this leftover? Okay. So what is this? So actually, in this case, what we can do is we actually can move. We can move this triangle. So in this case, this is the same as if you were to, let me just draw this out. Okay. Right. This is the same as if we were to, let me remove all the lines first. Right. If we were to move like this. Okay, this is the same. So yeah, so, this is the exact same, right? So this is, I would say, figure 3. Figure 3. So that means figure. So this is I draw. So figure 2 is the same as figure 3, and figure 3 has how many sides? Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Has 7 sides. So that means 7 sides is equal to 7 times 11, and this will become 77 centimeter. Okay, and that's the answer, 77. There you go. Right. Okay, so let me make it. Okay, can fit. All right. So in this case, when you see this kind of question, if you have to, in a way, visualize. Okay, so no matter what, these lines over here, right, these two lines will just combine, and this will just make into these two lines over here, right, like this, right. So therefore, yeah, you don't need to worry about this. So in the end, yeah, it's the same. That's what you see over here. Okay, so yeah, the answer is it's a tricky question, but at the same time, yeah, now you better understand how to figure this out. All right, so if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want more of this kind of video where I go through paper 2 or paper 1 broker A, then leave in the comment section down below. With that said, see you in the next one. Bye bye.